The government's plan to phase out traditional jeepneys in favor of modernized units has sparked debates across the country. How do you think the government can balance the need for modernization with the livelihoods of jeepney drivers and the cultural significance of jeepneys?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for that very wonderful question. The jeepney is more than just a mode of transportation in our country, which is the Philippines. Isa ini ka simbolo sang aton pagkamatugahon, pagkamahinampanon, kagkabakod naton na mga Pilipino. I think that our government can strike a balance by enforcing or I think the government can strike a balance by offering financial assistance and training programs for GP drivers, allowing them to transition smoothly into new roles within a modernized transport system. Additionally, we can preserve the essence of our jeepney by integrating its iconic designs into new models, maintaining its cultural significance. Because after all, I firmly believe that progress shouldn't mean leaving anyone or anything behind. We can modernize our roads, but let's not lose sight of where they came from. Let us all steer towards the future, but let us also make sure that everyone's on board for the ride. Thank you.
Good evening, please pick your question, please. Right. I read it to you twice. You've picked question number 10, youth and the church. As the younger generation becomes more secular and less involved in religious activities, how can the church remain relevant and engage with the youth in meaningful ways? One more time, youth and the church. As the younger generation becomes more secular and less involved in religious activities, how can the church remain relevant and engage with the youth in meaningful ways?
Thank you for that wonderful question. Nowadays, we can see that a lot of children went astray with the secular world. The church can remain significant in this fostering authenticity by engaging in a more safer environment and build a safe space for our youth so that they can once again believe in God, because we as a youth, we know that church in fact are one of those people who does not believe in the progress of youth. They're also the one who cause the shaming and discrimination. So the church must help and encourage the youth by promoting and helping them progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Promoting and helping the youth us on stage. Good evening. You may pick your question. Thank you. You've picked question number 2, drug rehabilitation and prevention. The war on drugs in the Philippines has been a polarizing issue. What alternative approaches do you think could be more effective in addressing the drug problem in our society? One more time, drug rehabilitation and prevention. The war on drugs in the Philippines has been a polarizing issue. What alternative approaches do you think could be more effective in addressing the drug problem in our society?
Thank you. As an advocate of mental health awareness, I will use this platform to use my voice to speak for what is right. The more effective approach in addressing the drug issue is to prioritizing the prevention and education. Let's start in our school and our community. And I believe that if we have balanced and healthy mind, we will achieve the combat of drug rehabilitations. Because I do believe that people are not addicted to alcohol and drugs. They are just addicted to escape the reality. So let's always think before we act, because in every actions, there is a macro effects in our lives. Thank you.
Always think before we act. Thank you, candidate number 3. I'd like to invite candidate number 4 to take your question. All right. You've picked question number 3, fake news and misinformation. With the rise of social media, the spread of fake news and misinformation has become a significant problem. How can we, as individuals and as a society, combat misinformation and promote responsible online behavior? Once again, fake news and misinformation. With the rise of social media, the spread of fake news and misinformation has become a significant problem. How can we, as individuals and as a society, combat misinformation and promote responsible online behavior?
Thank you for the wonderful question. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we can combat misinformation and promote online responsible behavior by becoming a critical thinkers and media literate citizens. As individuals, we must verify information, check sources, and resist sharing some unverified content. And as a society, we must support platforms that promote truth and hold them accountable for spreading harmful misinformation by fostering a culture of online responsibility. We can create a digital world where the truth prevails. Madamong salamat kag mayong gabi, Barangay Bata.
The truth prevails at the center. Good evening, you may pick your question.
Good evening.
You picked question number 5 with the topic corruption and governance. Corruption remains a pervasive issue in the Philippines. How would you use your influence to promote transparency and good governance in public service? Once again, corruption and governance. Corruption remains a pervasive issue in the Philippines. How would you use your influence to promote transparency and good governance in public service?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that corruption starts because we vote the wrong officials for it. So I would use my voice and encourage everyone to know who we are voting, ask them of the platforms that they could offer to us and what they could do to our community if they will be given that chance to rule. Let us always remember that before they are given that power to rule over us, we have that authority to vote them because we are in a democratic country. And I believe that as we go along with the changes in this world, and we want to find the right community leaders, it is also our responsibility first to be a responsible citizen of our nation, to vote wisely, and think for the good of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate number 5. Number 6, good evening. You may pick your question. Your topic is education. Education is often seen as a key to breaking the cycle of poverty. What changes would you like to see in the educational system to make it more accessible and inclusive? Again, education is often seen as a key to breaking the cycle of poverty. What changes would you like to see in the educational system to make it more accessible and inclusive?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that question. First, I would just like to say that I agree that education is a key to getting out of poverty. My advocacy is quality education for all because I believe that access to quality education means access to quality life. And I believe that with education, we can get out of poverty. And education shouldn't be a privilege, but a right for all. Thank you.
Indeed, right for everybody. Thank you. Good evening, and you may take your question now. Your topic is human trafficking. Human trafficking remains a significant issue in the Philippines, with many victims being women and children. How can the government and civil society work together to combat human trafficking and protect vulnerable populations? Again, human trafficking remains a significant issue in the Philippines, with many victims being women and children. How can the government and civil society work together to combat human trafficking and protect vulnerable populations?
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, and of course to my fellow contestants. It is such an honor and a privilege to be standing in front of you tonight, and I feel empowered to be answering such a wonderful question. To live in a world where gender stereotypes, misconceptions, violence, and discrimination is evident, it is important that each and every one of us must use their voices to different causes that is close to their hearts. And human trafficking is such a very alarming type of issue. And the best way to cope up with this type of issue is to incorporate the Republic Act 9262, which is anti-violence against women and children, and incorporating it to our local governments, which is an example, our very barangay. And using this and advocating for this is something that could change the world. And most importantly, is for the people to use their voices to this type of issue and protect those or create safeguards for those victims of human trafficking. I myself is an educator, a licensed professional teacher, and I'm currently teaching, and it is also my responsibility to teach these people to know their rights and how to fight for it. And with this, we will know how will we able to cope with these different issues that we are facing. I know, ladies and gentlemen, that we cannot change our world or our community today, but with every little step, we can make a change. So let that little step be you. Thank you. And once again, good evening.
Welcome, candidate number 8. Pick your question. Your topic is gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is a pervasive issue in the Philippines. What measures do you think should be taken to prevent violence against women and children and to support survivors? Once again, gender-based violence is a pervasive issue in the Philippines. What measures do you think should be taken to prevent violence against women and children and to support survivors?
Thank you for that question. I believe that addressing this issue starts in our homes. Mothers here watching us today, I think that we should teach our sons to be a better man for women, because I believe that because I believe that because I believe that men shouldn't hurt women because they are much more known that they are much more stronger than women. Thank you.
Good save. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Candidate number 8, and now let's have candidate number 9. Thank you. Your topic is healthcare and marginalized or for marginalized communities. Access to healthcare is often limited to marginalized communities in the Philippines, including indigenous people and those in remote areas. What strategies do you think should be implemented to ensure inclusive healthcare for all? Again, access to healthcare is often limited for marginalized communities in the Philippines, including indigenous people and those in remote areas. What strategies do you think should be implemented to ensure inclusive healthcare for all?
Access to healthcare remains a significant challenge here in the Philippines, particularly in our remote areas. And to challenge this, we need to make sure that our government invests in mobile clinics and telemedicines, bringing healthcare closer to people who needs it most. And we need to highlight the needs of these communities and working together with healthcare organizations to expand their reach, ensuring that healthcare services are not limited and is accessible for those people who needs it most. Thank you and good evening, Barangay Bata.
Thank you so much, candidate number 9, and congratulations for a great answer.